Welcome to Be On It, episode 23.
Hey, Jessica, what's going on in the beehive today?
Hi, Debbie. I was just reflecting about all that we've learned about ourselves this past year.
Yeah, it's mid December of 2025. So I think all of us are feeling a certain way about this year that will soon be ending.
It's coming up real quick here. We're going to be going into 2026. And, for me, it's really been a year of growth and healing. And I realized I had been suppressing so much this last year and how it was affecting me mentally and physically. And when you approached me about creating a podcast August of 2024, it led me down a path of self-discovery and growth that I didn't even know I needed. And not only did it deepen our friendship, it affected other relationships and it deepened those. It made me more open and vulnerable to share the things that I had been suppressing. I think back about how all our episodes came about organically because there were a timeline of things that we were thinking about and going through, and we were facing and trying to understand so that healing could happen. And it really just helped me to have clarity and confidence. And I really learned to let go of old things that were holding me back and
Mhm.
embrace new things, even if it felt scary. I don't know if you felt that way as well, but for me, and I still struggle with it sometimes, the unknown. I don't like the unknown. That's a struggle for me. And I have to learn to just sit in it and be in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this whole podcast was a fine example of entering the unknown because I distinctly remember when we met at that one restaurant, remember? And
Yeah.
we hadn't seen each other for a few months. And I brought up the podcast idea. And then we went to walk, we had lunch and then we kind of walked around afterwards. And we had all these ideas swirling and excitement. And we didn't know what was going to happen with this podcast. But I think that as the ideas were emerging, the feelings were, hey, we're going through things, we're learning and growing, and I bet others are as well. And how about we share those thoughts and feelings and just project them out into the world?
We had to learn how to do all these things. And it took educating ourselves on how a podcast works.
I know.
I mean, we were starting from scratch. We knew nothing. And boy, was it trial and error. I think back to our very first podcast where we talk about our friendship. And I just feel like, it's like baby versions of us. I'm like, oh my gosh, we were such babies back then. And
Okay, hold on, Jessica. How many iterations of that first episode? How many did we have? Like 20? Like it was.
oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. We're like, oh my goodness, how are we ever going to do this? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I kept questioning. You kept reassuring me we'll get better. And we did. We started just really researching things that we wanted to talk about. And, we got more confident. So that unknown became more familiar and then we became more comfortable with it. We just started to find our voices. And I think for me, I had struggled because I had suppressed myself for so long that I had sometimes trouble articulating what I wanted to say.
Right. Well, first of all, let me just say 2025, year of the
For real.
and the you knows. 25 will always be a special year for me because of what we ended up not just starting. The idea came in 2024, but what we ended up publishing in 2025. We launched our podcast Be On It. So it'll be so memorable and so special because of that alone. But then also year of the ums and the you knows.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it just was this whole revelation of if we put our minds to something, we can do that. And if you just have a little belief in something and you just keep plugging away, and if you don't, care what anybody says. You just do it anyway. We
Mhm.
needed a way to talk about how we were feeling, and I'm still gaining something from it,
Yeah.
and you're gaining something from it, and for me that's all that matters. um that we our purpose was to always, and is always, to create community so people don't feel alone, because I didn't really have anybody besides a therapist to talk to about this, so it became kind of like our group therapy session. And I found myself feeling so much better after you and I talked about things and talked it through. I felt like I had a clear vision and I didn't feel alone. And that really helped me, having somebody to share these experiences with.
Mhm. I agree. Like, not just current current experiences, but like a lot of things that have happened in the past. I think the things that we talked about before we hit record and our recording debriefs, I could find somebody who had similar experiences and I wasn't feeling the shame and the embarrassment of having these like unpleasant experiences in my childhood. And also current situations where I'm dealing with challenges and hurts. So that was really something special that I experienced this year. And to go along with that, I mean, I never created a vision board. I like the idea of a vision board, but I never did one for 2025. But there was always this intention. And life is busy and complex, and especially when you have kids and you have a job and all these other things. There was a lot of things to juggle. My family had a lot of transitions in 2025 as well, like kids getting a year older, getting a grade older, new experiences. So, and then my mom's getting older. And so amongst all this, these transitions and, work, I'm glad to have embarked on something special. And I think that here we are in December, and just to kind of review the year is a really good thing for us to do, because it helps us to think about what we've gained through the year and think about the future.
I agree. I think about, really, for me, how it just lightened the load. It just, I guess it made me not not everything so heavy, and it made me just happier to be able to get some of that stuff that I'd been suppressing out and heal from it. It was a big year of healing traumas and figuring out what's right for me and adjusting to what being a mother of young adults was like, and like the constant change and the unknowns, and having to go through graduation, and with your kids graduating from college, or one graduating and then deciding to get a master's, and then thinking they're going to come home and start a job, to now they're still going to be in school, and then to one being a senior in college, and what are they going to do after all this change, like you were talking about, like all the unknowns of what's going to happen next. It's helped me to not be so scared of it. In the past, I would just overanalyze and, freak out about it. And now it's like, okay, this is what it is. I don't know what these outcomes are going to be, and I can't control that. And it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time, because that's just, life moving forward. I got more clarification on like the things that I need in my life, and, what I still need to work on, and steps that I took back in order to move forward, and things that I don't like about my behaviors, and things that I still want to be better about.
Mhm.
And so it's just kind of been this learning ground of moving forward, moving backwards, just this kind of balance of both in order to propel forward, in
Mhm.
order to be the best version of myself. And I think that's life, right? It's like, and teaching my kids that it's good to talk about things. It's good to think about the big picture and think ahead. You can't always live in the now. You really do need to plan a little bit, and do need to consider the future, especially when it's approaching. You can't ignore it. I found myself kind of ignoring a few things because I was working on other things, and they just kept coming back. And I was like, okay, clearly I need to address these two things. They keep coming back up. And so that's kind of been a year of being all over the place
Yeah.
and learning how to breathe through it and how to like say, hey, I'm struggling right now. And I didn't even share some of these things that I was feeling with you right away. It took me a long time to open up. And then
Mhm.
once I did, you thought about it and you were sharing some of the things that you were going through as well.
Mhm.
And sometimes we suffer in silence
Yeah.
and we don't even realize that if we open up that it might really resonate with others. And when I did that and let go and was more vulnerable, it really deepened all of my relationships.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, like it's one thing to feel something, and then it's a whole different thing to articulate it and share it with somebody. It's almost like a whole process or a continuum. I have this year created a little more space to contemplate my life and the way I'm feeling about things. It's in those quiet moments when you're by yourself and you have quiet and calm. You're not emotionally high or low. You're just kind of right there where you need to be in the sweet spot is the best. So I really encourage people to make space and time for those moments.
I would agree. I call it meditative time. I really like to do some breath work and just soak up the fresh air. And it brings me a lot of clarity because I'm the type of person that's always kind of working through something. And once I work through it, great, I can move on. I don't overanalyze anymore. I don't I don't fixate on it. I heal from it. I talk about it. I address it. Um, and I move on. And it's made me so much better. But it's funny, like I found myself getting triggered a little bit. And I think it's this time of year, it's not always easy for everybody. And this is a really hard month for me. And this is probably my core family's last time that we're going to really spending together as a family unit
Yeah.
because they're going to go off into the world and do their own things and might not always come back, or we might not be able to always go to where they are. And it just was kind of a grieving period for me, and I'm still just kind of emotional about it. I didn't even really like know why I was feeling so melancholy until we talked about it, and I was like, okay, this is some of the reason I'm having to move forward too, and change is hard. I'm having to get comfortable with just sitting in the unknown, and that was a big one for me this year. And I think going forward, it's finding out more of like my creative side and really fostering that because that's what I'm missing and it's affecting me. And I really need to like pursue some of my interests so I feel more fulfilled. And just, seeing where this podcast goes and what more, organic episodes appear and, you know, fun things to look forward to is what I'm hoping for a new year of new experiences.
In those quiet moments that I had with myself, I was asking a lot of questions like, okay, what is it that you really need? And what brings you happiness? What fulfills you? And it definitely is the physical needs, but on the other side of that are the spiritual needs and the expressive creativity that I always find myself yearning. You can't put it under the rug because it'll just keep coming back. And especially for me, since I'm an introverted person by nature, if I don't have that outlet, I don't feel fulfilled. So, looking ahead into 2026, some really serious questions about what's holding me back and then also what's propelling me forward. I really need to kind of get a grip on what energizes me and then also what keeps me in the status quo mode. And what I did realize, I think just in the organic way of doing this podcast is that I got to silence the naysayers in my life, and I could be one of them too. So I can be super critical of myself. So I need to just silence those voices because they are actually discouraging me and holding me back. And then on the other hand, I also think like, what is my fight song? What's Debbie's fight song? What is something that keeps me going and energized day after day, month after month, year after year. I want to be on the offense, meaning like I want to actively be doing things, even if it's small steps along the way to be making progress. Because if I just stay in this defense mode, I'll just be trying to like put out the small fires. But at the end of the day, well, it won't put me in a good position.
I totally agree with that. I just think that, people, we've had nothing but support and from those that tell us about how they feel about what we're doing and how it resonates with them. And sometimes when you don't hear anything, you wonder, why am I still doing this? But what we discovered is we're doing this for us, and it's always been about us and creating community.
I'm doing this because I'm accountable to myself, not only myself, but I'm accountable to you too. So that, and I'm accountable to the people that are listening. So I found that community thing is actually a very energetic force in my life.
I agree. I feel it's my duty to keep bringing community together because by our shared stories, because it's going to resonate with people somewhere. And that, if it resonates with other people and they get something from it, as well as us getting something from it, that's all that matters to me. Because one step at a time to make this world a better place, right? It's like one ripple effect will create.
Another ripple. This is funny because it's winter time. So it's cold and it's rainy where we're at. But I have this rose bush. I purchased them during the summertime. And one I potted and one I planted in the ground. And you would think that this plant would just kind of be in hibernation mode during these winter months. Contrary to what I thought this plant would do, it is thriving. The leaves are just shiny and green. And it just reminded me that even though you're dealing with stagnant times, just like this plant, it just reminded me that like I can still be happy and I can still be content and working on things to prepare myself for the next challenge and the next task. These two rose bushes, they're climbing roses. So if they're looking this good now, when it's winter, can you imagine what it's going to be like in spring, summer? It's going to be thriving. It'll be so beautiful.
With that being said, this has been one big, beautiful year of revelations, reflection, growth, and deepening of friendships. And I would choose it all over again. And I look forward to the new year and creating more content. If you love what we're all about, join us next time in the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. The uh, uh, um oh sorry. um um um